Welcome back. Vice President J.D. Vance moments ago applauding the House Oversight Committee subpoenas to former President Bill Clinton and former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, along with 8 others. The Oversight Committee also continuing its investigation into Joe Biden's mental fitness and the use of the auto pen during Biden's presidency. Former Biden senior advisor Anita Dunn testified last Thursday, telling the committee that Biden's inner circle came to the conclusion that he should not take a cognitive test, even though she said they all felt that, he would pass one easily. Earlier in the week, a former Biden Deputy Chief of Staff, Bruce Reed, told the committee ex-White House doctor Kevin O'Connor dismissed cognitive tests as, quote, meaningless. Joining me now in this Sunday Morning Futures exclusive is the chairman of the House Oversight Committee, Kentucky Congressman James Comer. Mr. Chairman, good to see you. Thank you so much for being here.
Good morning, Maria.
I want to first talk about these subpoenas to Hillary and Bill Clinton. When are you expecting them to come in to testify under oath?
We've asked them to come in October. We've given them specific dates. What makes these subpoenas special and historical is that they came as a result of a bipartisan vote. The Democrats made a motion, like we knew they would, to subpoena the Epstein documents, which Republicans support. Scott Perry from Pennsylvania amended that motion to include subpoenas for both Bill and Hillary Clinton, as well as 6 former attorneys generals, and the Democrats voted for it. Now they're scared and trying to say they didn't vote for it, but they did. It's on record, and that helps us in court. If the Clintons try to fight this subpoena, which we presume they will, this subpoena came as a result of a bipartisan vote, which has never happened before in the House Oversight Committee. So we're looking forward to hearing from the Clintons. The American people want to know what went on Epstein Island. We know Clinton went there many times. We just want to ask Bill Clinton what he saw when he was there, and who all was involved.
Well, I mean, look, there's a lot of information to be gained from an interview under oath with Hillary and Bill Clinton, that's for sure. Would you also get into Russia collusion?
Well, we would like to ask about that. I'm sure their lawyers are going to be negotiating the terms. The subpoena was issued a few days before the Russia collusion story really broke. But certainly we're going to ask as many questions as we can ask. This is an opportunity to get the Clintons under oath, which people have been trying to do for a long time. So hopefully we'll be able to do that, and we'll get answers to a lot of questions that the American people have.
So you say that they're going to be fighting this. You think this is going to go through the courts?
I would be shocked if it did not go to the courts. But again, one thing that stands out is this bipartisan vote. We've never had that. I've been chairman of the House Oversight Committee for a year and a half, Maria, and I've never lost a subpoena battle. This is the toughest battle that we're going to face is getting the Clintons in here. But again, that bipartisan vote, and I want to thank the Democrats on the House Oversight Committee for voting for that subpoena.
Well, I mean, look, another tough battle that you've got in front of you is getting to the bottom of President Biden's 4 years in office. And what was going on there? I mean, it was all very simple and clear for everyone to see that he was, struggling in terms of his mental capacity and this use of the auto pen. Who was running the country for the last 4 years before President Trump?
Well, it looks like a very small inner circle of no-name unelected bureaucrats. They had a tight reign over Joe Biden. They didn't allow a lot of cabinet secretaries like Pete Buttigieg to have access to Joe Biden. They certainly didn't allow the White House press corps to have access to Joe Biden. When he did come out, he was very scripted. And what we've learned is that even when the American people realized after the Hur report and after the disastrous debate performance against Donald Trump that Joe Biden was in mental decline, his staff, we learned from Anita Dunn this week, made the decision not to give Joe Biden a cognitive test. Even when the American people were demanding a cognitive test, they made the decision, the ones who were running the country, that they were not going to give Joe Biden a cognitive test. And I think that is pretty overwhelming evidence that they feared what the results of that test would be.
So what do you think you will find out about who was running the country? I mean, after the Robert Hur interview was released, just a day or so later, we learned that Joe Biden had prostate cancer. But, I've got the Kevin O'Connor medical report in front of me right now. There's no mention of any mental decline. There's no mention of any prostate cancer. Why suddenly do we learn this after the Robert Hur tapes were released?
Well, we've watched the Hur tapes, and they're a disaster. You understand watching the tapes why Robert Hur wrote that. I mean, that was scary. If Americans could watch that tape, and hopefully we can make that public, they would be concerned that this guy was president of the United States, had control of the nuclear football. But at the end of the day, with Dr. O'Connor, we deposed him. We brought him in for a deposition. He pled the fifth. We asked Dr. O'Connor, were you ever told to lie about Joe Biden's health? He couldn't answer that question. He pled the fifth to avoid self-incrimination. What we found about Dr. O'Connor is he declined doing a cognitive test. He supposedly said a cognitive test was not important, even though every president in my lifetime has taken cognitive tests. And we also believe that he supposedly did not check the president for prostate cancer. Every man over 50, including myself, I'm 52, takes a PSA test every time they get blood work done. So the story doesn't add up with respect to Dr. Connor. It reeks of a political cover-up, a cover-up of a president in declining health.
So do you think that this was an all-out effort by the Democrats to keep their grip on power, even though they knew that the leader in charge, Joe Biden, really did not have the capacity to keep going, and then they actually encouraged him to run for another term?
It looks like it. And that's what's the most shocking about this whole thing. This didn't just happen around the time of the debate between Joe Biden and Donald Trump. This happened, a year prior to that. And yet this small inner circle wanted to keep this man in the Oval Office, even though they knew he couldn't perform the duties of President of the United States for another 4 years. That's what's so disappointing about all of this. And what you see with the last 90 days, that's when I think the auto pen was abused the most, Maria. The last 90 days after Donald Trump wins the election and you're in that lame duck period, they start cranking stuff through that auto pen like crazy. Pardons, thousands of pardons, and executive orders whose sole purpose of these executive orders was to Trump-proof the Trump administration, to make it harder to get federal employees to come back to work, to make it harder to eliminate agencies like the Department of Education. So that's why this investigation is important. We believe that there's a possibility that a lot of these executive orders and pardons can be declared null and void in a court of law.
So you're saying that those pardons may not be legal or legitimate?
I am saying that, Maria. And if you look at Joe Biden's one interview he's given in post-presidency about the auto pen was with the New York Times, and he admitted to the New York Times that that he just delegated that to staff.
Unbelievable. All right, we will leave it there. Mr. Chairman, great to see you. We'll be following your work, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, it's Will Cain. Click here to subscribe to the Fox News channel on YouTube. It's the best way to get our latest interviews and highlights. And click to subscribe to the Will Cain podcast for full episodes right now.